Biya kegima umwancho murigereria bwe Etaya TV seri tukoria rero lya Jumanne kitariki 25 naibere omutinyo mutangani omwaka bwekiriwe na 25 ne mungu kwaligani kegima ime yo muroberio okwana netaya boigona kirali tukoria Jumanne ni goto gusanga amonaye tukubwatana na mona bariki baitu bamangana abo bagendete kwaka chikambi chinsemo ao elio gotumanyia na gusanga mona intwe batumanyina raria yaiga agendete ko bakago koreka chinsemo ao ime na isiko yorongo roito rwa Gusii county chitebere county ya Nyamira boigo county ya Kisii na boigo tsali kweba asensemo ye county ya Nairobi wantu tukaba gusanga mona bariki baitu bamangana elinde tonyara ko batokumanyana na raria yaiga abereka gokoreka kurugwaga kiete goika boniga chinse chiga isano chia bono mambi boigo mwancho muri antu tukaba tokubwatana na mona bamintu saira sazizi buna botambe no arasomobe tokubwatanera se obwange kegima boigo mo director oneli tukolia ya Jumanne ne Reven Moriango kurwa sasa mu kamera nigo tulenere omugaka womo Gusii ke Gusii boiga sense mu yekelisia Joseph Mokogoti nere tulenere gaiga kurwa sense mu kamera uyoko eneke buna chibicha chiagochire ase enjira erengia ochagabo ase TV abo igontrena mona ba minto gaiga Marion abayigo Vinina abanda abange sana bali gaiga se studio kogenda kumanyana raria yaiga nakiago chakoreka insi yoburayi bwa Joseph Mokogoti nali bayanya ko na baroba kumanya onsi buna bucha akoreka aiga ase gitaseni geito Etaya TV oburabu bwa Gusii omwancho murigereria ndarachiko bayingo kumanya aria ari kurwa sabali kiboitu bamangana una botambe nigongora kumanyia nararia yaiga agende tukobaka okoreka chinsemo ao kubwa na isiko yorogongo rwa Gusii kurwa semitandao nararia yaiga agendrete kegima tugochaka asense media yechisemi aboro ba grade 10 barasoire chisukuru kulinda abade mbaro gwikaboni nga yukani imagine baranya ko bagoso chisukuru nabo igona omo waziri gwechisemi Julius Migosi ogamba nigabete gakoraria eikiri na gotebuna ewiki yeiga nalio aboro ba grade 10 babwenete guchaka amasoma abo bene asekera esukuru kulinde na gwikaboniga aboro kigwambaro ba grade 10 bataranya ko bagosoa ase chisukuru kwaro china gwikana ne litukoria igoro abasubati abo barabonjoreria korwa ase chiro ya marigiti maiga ase county ya Kisii nigo babete bagwesokia na gokoba omwana uso moro kiwobete ka okoreke grade 10 amatemu akaba kagwete kulinde na sengencho ise abete kagosira kagosira korwa sogo bwense uyu olengenero monjoreria gati yaba onjoreria ubande korwa ase chiro ya marigiti nigo babete bakomokoba omoro kiwo yuika ase skuru ya nyanchwe sabete gakorangiriwa konyoro omwana oyendo yaye konyora ya machiri kulima lakini rende abangi na bakaba wesoke bakatana magoro wikase skuru eyo you can imagine bakachanga chibe around 80,000 bakairo mwana oyo wikase skuru elingenera ikiranie endoto yaye nende umwancho murigereria lingana lyabete likogokia abantu abange sana ensingima kalina na nasegeta nigetu Etaya TV yoka ngilina umwana witali mu Gusii arwete kurwa sanza moya trokana lakini abangi na bakurwa sorongo rwa Gusii kurwa sechire ya moga kumarigiti nibo babete bawesoke bakaba bagokobo moro kiwo yikase skuru elindenera yandere na masomaye nakito cyo twateba natali nabarayiboka ndiko nagotegemea abarayiboka na bari no moyo bwanja abarayi kera litiko mugabana simbarati tokonye usena nkito konye mugabana nyalibo ani nonye nabanyakenyoro nabarabuo mbasigeta amasomo asengencho isekora abonjoreria abayiga tali na totebe igo balikire nechigasibiri gete bakwirigere gwetera soko ne chinyanya ebituma chinyeke buna omorarito rutike mumago chora totekora sense medio bonjoreria lakini bakaba bakwirige tambukireke gagyo kokoba omwana wikese skuru elindanya ko bagakwegendereria no buma bwa gwakira litu nayo mwancho murigere uri siko galia urasekenyero galia abarayi batemire ko akonya aboro kiwabayiga ayebuna umunyakenyero aya buno muiri buno mwama tolisiko galia noro chaboro kyo basoire ase school bali ba grade 10 kulinde mbaroro ase binyoro mawo batarasoa ase school senga njiba teta kiro moro kyo agende school ya betega kurangiriro ketambukiro kikwairire ko ene kina ki na gwasiriro moro kyo yoiga asentere yemo oseyende neranya ko bagakwegendereria asa masomo ibo ntokuralira abarayiboka Nyirano naye bunole gabo no bwato kunyaro neba nogoke neba ngoba woke buna kurabe ogosira ukura musire abakonyaro no mworo kyoyiga nero soire as school yokyalenge kimanyirio ekiya kigima gusekyorokererie ekiya kigima kubwa muno gayiga sorogongoro ito ruwagusi igona abasubati abo abonzoreria egasingiye sana bakorete tote na pongezi sana igona mwanjo muri ando nsi asole na etema gusira umwana onde bwansi uri school gabo ebe no mo Kinyoro kiao no muri no mwama onde bwensi kachira so ko gusaba bakonyi uri obwate bakeigo aya musire elindenere hanya ko bakawikira nyendoto yaye yoko bakirinera gane tiko baguchibusire nende ko komende ko gusira umwana onde bwensi nyura natari aye gwekaho cyo gukonya kera wasomire umwana osomoro kigwa nigagocha kera ko umunyagitari tari aye gweka ko rwari nigakorwari abantu abange iwe nyura kyo to kona gusira na sisemi yo to wenda kuimokeria ensi ya Kenya iguro oigo mwancho muri kingutigaraga bwasamangana yigaringite chisemi mworo kiwonde na roro na boigo lingana lya machitigonku na sana kurwa sense media ye mitandao mworo kiwa okorete na grade 9 kurwa sense media ito ya mate ga rukisumu yiga ekera koleta matemu akabaga konyara chipoint nere chingi lakini rende asenge njo batali kwenyara sobo mworo kiwo yiga bachikurigeria abe alenka abana bande basoira ase chisukuru barangirigwe era akarota kunyara kolemeriko beranka nigabwatete akagenda guikase skuru ya koleta matemu ya grade 9 nenda akagenda agasoekera asikiriki ya grade 9 ninde you can imagine kurwa se skuru eyu nero lenge oyo kabire the second best ase skuru lakini ndenda singe njobo lemerwa boli bora senka yabo akarolika ko beranka tikira nende skuru agenda komento mu kimono nali onde bwensi obwate omoyebo wanja guseranyore sponsorship guseranyore scholarship yo kwegendera na masomo keracho abayiboli abali mu bali baye konya barengenere kera bamuruchi nigo baondogete bagatwaro mu ijano kegima lakini rende nigo bamwanjirete bona nendo irande bona grade ya kianda agendera na masomo ayuka ni imagine no mwana obwate potential wetira matemu lakini ya singe njo wetenyara singe chikiro muntu nabwate okwenyara kwaye akarona likankobera isiko tikani ndengiro ole kirasi belingana giteri ogo ichane kegima lya betali gonkuna lakini rende tinya samu bwate si agende na masomo naboranya ndake oyo mose babere nabo bare soki banya kwa bako muira se skuru inera betala korangirwa elindanya ko baga kwegendereria na masomo oiga sense mo yendo mwanchu murigereria ese wizara y'ekisemi jabeteke gotebuna wikeli na wikira omotienyo yoiga ebitabu bya grade 10 bichiko bigoika angekira school ekeye twarara abande batanambira ikabyonsi lakini na rodi egalia wetrase kyombekelia ya KICD ose Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development kiyekwana na ebitabu boigo kurigelia ya ringite kisemi kurwase secretary kurwase ebirengo bya primary wika city college nigo batebuna wika ekiyeiga ngochi baraba bagotema kwana kibuna ibitabu byonsi byabeire bigoikirana ase chisukuru elinda boroke ba grade 10 na barabo bagende konyora amasomo abo bigo ntwaro chigaro murayi wensi William Samuel Ruto nonyeno mu waziri w'ikisemi Julius Migosi ogamba babere bagokwanira buna umoroke onde bwensi uri isiko anyana ko bagako gende school ne batabwa ati uniform wika pako mokonyi bo murayi wensi kidure kindiki lakini nento nyora boroke wabange ako yanda chisukuru chibarange tu batabwa ati kende babwa uniform chiria lakini bawe corona ende baseli bono timanye tina kira lakini rende mu waziri w'ikisemi Julius Migosi ogamba nigabeta gakobeye kurege tindina oise konyoru naye utenete school waseliri omworokibwa uyo beta gakorangirwa cyese school yure kwa museli yaira nego chinka nuchika go kwirerwe gatambukiro kirege tindi sana timaiti nali ebirenge byombe byaye no mwancho murieria korengana nalia eserikali yabereke gukwanira yure y'ikisemi boigona ali arase ground ali agokoreka ase a ground bagotena ase ground amangana igale tofauti sana aborokiwa bange batemere goika skuru nigo bagoseribwa bagotebwa na bakane school fees kwanyara uniform na kiro cyo kugora uniform ne chimatres na nini ebintu byonse kokubeka amo ebikoma cyuchirira na kolengana ne school fees amangana makongusana abayibuli bagante gwetera iskogale goikaboni lakini nigo togosabana eserekali wetera se wizara y'ekisemi egendere ko bakegoswana na amangana yayiga elinde abayibuli banyako bakonyora omweso ake aborokiwa banyako bagosoa ase kisukuru kiri babete bakorangiriwa boibo mwanchu murigeria to gutikana na mangana y'ekisemi ose andake ali badara sensemelia y'ekisemi ase secretariat ya help ose kyombe kya help higher education loans board kiye kwera na chibesa ose gusira aborokiwa elide banyako bakwegende na masomo ko bwa mana City University nigo na barobo banyaliko bakorwa amabaga yokolika abantu gosemeremo ase chi department ao asense meyo ya help nabo igona agotana gati yabo ne mirimo neroro ya technical support levels senior levels na yanda mange ayugo abwa abantu boniga baboli bagende ko baba apply emirimo eyo ase bago chiko bagokora ose application yego chiko bagekoera chitariki 15 nemo ase omutienyi okabere omwaka oyo 2026 wandonse asoro mwancho murigereria onye koligia emiremo ne kogwata masakara omborongale temba goswase bone poto ya help naboranya ole andake gwa apply na ekwewereire emiremo wetrase ensemeyo ose ase kyombekyo kya help oiga sense moyende asamangana lengete chisemi ekyombekeriye kolika abali mose aborokia nabo igona koligereria maslahi yabali mu TSC nigo kya tebna seritukolia lero nigo bakogenda wika ase sub county ya Hulugo chinsemo che county area ya Garissa iligotema kuligereria safety ya abalimu ase chinsemo chiria asengencho nakorengana barabo robot babere bakonyara chinsemo echo nigo abalimu abange babere bakoba attacked kwa sekyombekeria kia Al-Shabaab ase bunali tukolia igoro omwalimu oyomo nabetaka gusiria obogima bwayo kuna Steven Vundi Musili ekere ikagire buna abantu kurwase kyombe kyabo Al-Shabaab na ubabete bagusiria obogima bwayo igasiri tukolia lero nigo bawochikotarira sensemeyo na gotema kuligereria oborendi bwaborokia kubwa monona sensemeyo ye county eyo ya Garissa boigo na ndo mwanchu muligereria hasa yagendereta senseito ya Kenya nigo egeikaro kia gatano wetrase bunge yiga ya 13 yaba bunge kegenderete asense melia ya Naivasha ekyoge koragwa no speaker usomonagari we bunge ne Moses Masika Wetangula asaba uchwa bakuriria mange igoro yobokoreri we bunge unabwa babere bokoreka hatua kiri babere bagokora usali babere bagokora boigona amakomwali babere bagwetera usali agendete bokoreka kurwase ababunge birangere byabo boyomba chwa bakuriya mangana NGCDF boigona aliya yobokoreri bosobo bwenya washa na yande amanga bibaho chwa bagotwara hose gokwanira ase litukolia lero ase chinsemo chiria chia Naivasha kingo chigo kolera omwanchu murigereria asensemo yende ase county area ya Kisumu ase county ya Kisumu nigo abana babiri myaka 5 ebere nabo yiga myaka 3 babete bagusiria uruma bwabo ase tukole igoro marogoba wetrase omubasukano w'umuriro babete gokoena kiwa chinsemo chikiro kya Kogelo ase location yonjiko esa county ya Nyando ase boni go botukibogendete ose bwabete bogochakiwa chinsemo DCI wenseme ya Ahero ase baote buna oikaboniga ekyo kerete ogotuboka ko muriro yo oikaboniga kiraba gikumanyikana kurinde nigo abanyanyimbo sabo bisaba DCI bagendete gukora obutuki rikumanya ndake ningikirete umuriro yo gutubuka nabo igona koira amaima yabo abana babere myaka 5 ibere nabo igona emyaka 3 kurinde oyo mobo abalinga bana batatu oyo mobe nabete kagokonyo usiguturiwa kurwasa umuriro yo ne amatekere baroche umuriro yo kingo cyokorera umwancho murigereria asali agendete kone kigwa ekiombe kyo bachori nechimbebe IEBC nigaseri tukolyale na borobu batwara egeikaro bose batwara Kwana na bariki abangana ase baba bagokwanira igoro ya maliganyo yobochori bo mwaka 2027 tabaigona emirobiri ya babekiriga yo amana yanda mange nchiko bayingo komanya umanya naralia yiga baba bagokwanira kolengana na roboti uruwo baba bagokora mwancho muri yankomanywa buna omoriki to Felix Nyakundi nigonere yariganirie kurwa sensemo ye county ya Nyamira elio ateme gutumanyia isago tumanyigiro yo omoroberi obwo kolika osokoliko kwa balimu balia ba JSS sub county ya Masaba North nigo ogendrete ase ensemo ya Nyakongo ime ye bunge yo ya Kitutu Masaba ime county ya Nyamira Moriketo Felix Nyakundi timanyitina onyekonye weteri eliogiriao onyerire buja nigongo kuharigania elindo tumanyina na kyomorobero yo bokolikwa kwa abalimu boigo ba JSS ogendrete asenseme yo ya Nyakongo boigona tema kuligereria eliogiriao Felix elinde otumanyi na kyomorobero yo berego kogenderera kurwa senseme yo ya Nyakongo ime ye sub county ya Masaba North county ya Nyamira. Timaitina umuriketo Felix Nyakundi onyekonyi gwete eliogiria o tema kuri ronge ibuya elindo tumanyina kurwa senseme yo ya Nyakongo naralia yaiga agenete ko bagakone kinkomanyiwa kuna kwabeire banongansire banonko eli bageliga otumanyina naki omorobero yo gendereire oika boniga Felix
Yamono Diana nkobwatite ase ncherendonge aigani gonde ya mase mokuru iga ase geti kie skuru ya sekondaria bamura ya Nyakongo UR Center ayoko karo morobero yego mugima bwo kolikia balimu ba JSS be sub county ya Masaba North na no morobero yogeneta stick sub county chinde korende ase sub county ya Masaba North ni gogo korekana iga ase nseme iga ya Nyakongo oisikorwera limaegane n'abantu bose barokia bari banyarwa bagocha ere batema konyora gose mbanyore emireme yeiga ase bagomerana nabo busa kurwa ase ekiombe gia TSC abo bakorinkoria amasakara abona kora gose mbachikonyara kwa bakorikwa emireme yeiga nomorobero chiagete chinsa ibere korengana buna nanyarwa baginkoeresa bumagega na nigo gendrete goika 11 chia marogoba korende nomoroberi obwate process entambe yeganetie kero yomo ryo gocha sayaiga gotwara ebinto biri byonse bibiganire korengana abuna banyate ko bakomanyirwa gose bagotebigwa bumagega na nomubaro munene nyara ko bakogwesokia ere gocha ase enseme yeiga orokinga ama gose abantu nabange balensko gare bataranyora kigasi korende asa barimu abajese street koria rero neriabo na no basemero kwabo nga kero yo moyo nyarko gago ikasa yiga na chikonyora emereme yiga no mubaro monene kero koria rimaga nene chi maibere chibekire ya mukuru matene ne ko rogole yo kortinga umubaro no monge mono oganekie okubwaterana ero kone kinga oerire aseri koria rero aburi ichinse chiama gose chi deka chinka magega na nyara ko bagingo sanga kego no mo sub county director bwe sub county yiga oyongere sanga umurobero ni bagenda ta senchere ndonge korende mbachiko nyara ko bago kwana nege tasene kigitaya ekero mo director oyo baganyerete bwe county ya Nyamira nyara ko bago ikaga iga oyo tenete TSC ase county yiga narayo aregendrete kurwa igase chinseme chiga chia Nyakongo nyora nere center ya Masaba North igo okoriko one speak abarimu nigo gokorekana ase nseme yiga abo bakuru ase chinsemo au ime ye sub county yiga ya Masaba North Diana Nyakongo.
Kigima omorikio ito Felix Nyakundi korwa senseme yo ya Nyakongo asitwarore na abarimu abange kigima babere bawesokia elio komanya elikonyora otema kwerigeria ribaga ekera bagendete no yo gwokorikwa abarimu bose aborokia ba JSS korwa senseme yo ya Nyakongo ime ye county yo ya Nyamira togusuka bose omorikio ito Felix na bango tiga elindo gende kwa gukubwati abo igona oteme gusangiria birengerio omanye naki aboroki abo bagokwana nararia yaiga asiritukoria ari na borobo barochi naratkoga gukoreka naki umurubiro isofa obereko gukoreka andake botutukanu bonde mbororo nararia yaiga aganeiri usebaganiri kogendororo kera bakogendororo documents kibaganiri na yande amange nyimaitene no chiko gutomanya asinjira yobwagara saboniga nansire ngotige ogende kubwati roboti ruo ase oboime kigima togusuka bosibono omwantu umurigereria bweta TV niyo togusuka togusanganere omurikito sagini Kirosi Thomas esenere agotumanyi igoro yoroboti igoro ya mateye mo korwase ekenyero kia Bonyameuru Nyabite ime sublocation ya Kiobegi ward ya Masige East ime bunge ya Bobasi county ya Kisii nigo egosaba obokonyi gukoirania omwano bo omunyaruka nka korwase ense ya Iraq magega yokorwara eliso wikira okumanwa magega yokogenda kwerigeria asekerenga kyogosira amate ya yego Kwana neta TV amate yo nigo yatebire buna nigo babeire bakonyora kibicha cyokogosa mono egento kiabaira ose kiabaire gekoba obwobo banene na kobaboria chitoro ase baboririe abare n'wancha okuya wesokia elio kobakonya tigatumira no morike tusagini Kirosi Thomas nabo igona tumanya nararia yaiga abakagosanga ni amate yuko rwasekenyore kyo kya Bonyameuru Nyabite mesa blockation ya Kiobegi ward yo ya Masige isomorike tusagini Kirosi Thomas
na bakwaniri Andreosi asmara muturereti abanchi beteloshin Etaya nigona nyarego ika ekenyoro kya Bonyameuru ke gotoke be Nyabite ye gotoka me Masige istikin semo chanya mache ase amate na nyarego tale rabono mambia ya nyore karenga omosbati ya mogosoro munyaruka niganyara kuruga iga abunenjera ya mayoji kwerigeria akaenda kinsemo kya Iraq ye gotoka Middle East ase batembe omwano yo nyareko bakurware raro bono iga kubatakana ni report kya ikirasongo kyoyo ekikoro kinga omwano yo gabwata abakungweri soriyaye nabwe kolekana nabekere pande chenne sara nabwe ko bate birenga omwano yoiga aseri soline naliro ya chakiro kubobe boy ko na chakiro teba omwano yo niko naenda chakiro kuruka manyinga na boy ko tara irunya kitari bijaiko bono niko bakorera go cha ase abara ibaito banyare ko konya omwano yo anyare ko nankaga iga mnenjere yamo yoko cha komurwaria ase kinya kitari chitu yankaga iga ase bono iga tiganda anyare ko nalibaga ocha saba ikirega iga banyare ko Kwana ngakibaroche nane ngakibota itaba konyeke
mina tu Kwana iga gakinto bwatu mwichana manene umwana uyu gacheta atikwerigeria twensi atokonyo muchio yoge kondo wajumura lakini tuigura umwana uyu igakarwarite gaki simbarati gaki metimoito gaki Jacobo bagaka gaki tokonye gaki rusi umwana uri ari gaki acha kubweni gaki gana oni tutwayarorire yani twichanire gaki
asama lietane no ruponsare gekondo umugakone yani umwana ona agasoka kurwaiga akagenda chinse kiri kiraki asinga njoko chikwerigeria umwana ono kurukumasi kirama yake bono uchiro rware irororo igaru achakirite eliso kurwara eliso likabimba akaenda gakora operation bono eliso nande likamente elinde kurwara nande bono ikeire igakuruka amanyinga kurumona bono gatutumirite bicha maragoba igo tusinyire kere togokora na kende ntobwati pi mochio timbwati kende no kuragira akoro kongu gaki gonchandegete timbwati ncherende yonsi timbwati maega na busio gaki nare gosaba gaki monkonye omwana oyu aruchinse chi oyo oratake gonkonye namba yane yesimi nere ya M-Pesa ere 0708 47 27 53
asa maria tangoro kubifon kerim oyo rwarite musbati ominto arwarete koru chinsa chia Iraki achiete gotorigeri togende esukuru tore abana batano ase omochie oyo nero ogotosomi abana baminto mbarona barabwo bare chikorechi nero obatenenerete twensi na inche nero ototenerete bono buna arwarete tobwate omochando bono ntori gochi nonya sukuru togoseri gochi besa bono komoranche onde bwensi obwate obokonyi nabo mogotokonya ase enamba nero eye nabo mogotokonya ya mpesa 0790 78 03 98 amariete ekoreta orifa gekondo ande ng'iro ore namba 0790 78 03 98
boigo nigo wenda togoteba ng'a omwana oyo nere konyora bere tegemeo abamwao barenge gotegemea egere bachake gosoma amasomo abande boigo mbare chikolechi korende goikera bono iga omwana oyo bono onyare korwara ataratoma besa gochankanga iga bono iga nare tigango tore gwanki bagokwana
na inche ase amariete ankoruku Miriam Sarango Kenya nomong'ina oyo akorera amaene omwana oyo omorwareire gachiete achi kwerigeria nero etegemeo nero pride winner ye family bono orwarire kende nkeiyo mogaka tata omwabo nekonda agochi mama omwabo nekonda agochi nchiri goisana gaki garwarire ari chinse chia Iraki gachakera amaiso ochire amaiso onsi ochire akoruka amanyinga bakonyi ntobwati abagambi baito simbarati omogambi oito chakobo omong'ina oito donya toto bonsi pi bao mitume bonsi gwanchire naki ancha motokonya na into nabo tokobera nambu yamo nese eng'encho okobeka okoboko aiche iga tocha komorwareria Kenya
rietane Josephine kwamboka ncheng'ina moka omwana oyo tata omwabo momura ominto omwana oyo gasogete ase eng'encho ya ogochi kwerigeria gari chinse chia isiko Iraki bono ochire orwarire tarakora nonya ngasi ororo taraegwa nonya mosara ochire ototomeire ebicha bia oborwaire bwamonyorire maiso na gochaka koroka arogete ase obotuko bware aro ntorairi gaki omogambi oito simbarati Jacob bagaka mitume gaki koranche tokonyere omwana oyo oito konyobeire Etaya yare gochi gokonya abana bamwabo gaki tokonye ntobwati gosina magega intwe nabanto togokora ebibarua ebike totari konyara kende gaki moranche kimoratokonye Nyasaye narambore okoboko kwaye ababwere binde bionsi gaki tokonye
ase amarieta ncheng'uruku Margaret minage momanyi akene omwana oyo iga onyarete koba gakorwa ase enka yabo nkaga iga akagenda chinse chia isiko egere achikwerigeria achikorigia erinde akonye enka yabo niga ere ense nonye abana kogenda esukuru nigo bare egasi enkong'u nonye nere omonyene iga atigerete esukuru nchere akarora tiga process agende egere ache gokonya abana aba bamwabo bande bare ense iga yanyarekanire esetani buna are omobe ekene omwana oikire ng'umbu gari onyorire ng'a orwarire bono buna arwarire tarakora gasi aranyare konyora chibesa chimoirani gochanka egere nabo ibori baye bamoshugurikire bono aria ase araga igo tobwate omochando omonene nkaga iga ntobwati kende motu na maega ekene ntobwati kende gaki nigo togosaba ase amabera ya ogwancha ase obwanchani bwa Nyasaye oyo tata togosaba kera rituko gaki ogavana wanche oesanani gatigati na simo na Michael Mitume gaki twagosoroire omwana oito arwa ase chinse chiria achiete korigia airane gocha egere tomoshugurikire agende nyagitari erinde obogima bwaye bogenderere gaki igo twasaba ase amabera ya ogwancha na Nyasaye abaseseri
nagoikera bwe omwanchi omorigeria bwe television Etaya nona ikero omwari obwo morori kwana Etaya korwa chinse mocha bonyameuru eye gotoka menya bite masige east ward chinse mocha nyamache muno mwanyare koigwa oino mwana oyo omwizeke onyara korugaiga akana chinse mocha Iraq bunense encheremo yo gochikwerigeria nabo gakonya mama mwabo tato mwabo amona mwabo korende konyora atraji gochaka okore gasi agera nyare konyara chibese chachete koria onyare korwara boigo bona basabire gokonya kurwasa barai baito banyari kubwate siabune njiremo yokoreto mwana kurujinsa mochiria egeraji kurwarigwa aiga Kenya usega iga kisi kurwa chinse mechiga chabunya meuru oyoga no muriya sagi ni Thomas okorene masemo paka broadcasting house chinse mocha ya mataro bujamono Azizi na Diana mwachire nkuma egasimo koranengia kwako studio.
Mbuya mono kegima omorike ito Sagini Kerosi Thomas na impumorike ito chire nkuma mbuya mono sana ase egasingia ogenete koba kogokora na boigona to sabonde bwensi ore no wancha okuya hanyana kuba kagwesokia elio gokonya bono ya mateyo boigona tito no sabera abana baito ekero bale bakoyenda chinse cheisiko otema kwerigeria ase kirenga kyogosira bono chia matego chagaiga ase ense ya Kenya. Tugusuka bosio committee ye Senate ye korigereria obotumeki bwechibesa ase county CPSC nigo ya mwariganirie omonene bw'abanyanyimbo Douglas Kanja wikabosio we committee eyo elio koeresera ogutamubwata omugabana we county ya Samburu Governor Moses Lenol Kulal magega yo mugabano yo kwanga oikirana bosio we committee eyo elio koerera obotumeki bwechibesa ekyo county ya Samburu ekonyora kurwa sense media ya serikali na boigona chibesa chiria ago sangereria wetrase ebango ime ye county yo ya Samburu asense moyeto ya kabere ya studio turigererie na gotegerera ayo babete bagokwanira ase committee yo ya Senate.
We again gave him an opportunity to do the right thing and present the governor today, which he has not done.
I think let's just cut to the chase. First of all, we have the Senator of Samburu in the House. Article 96 of the Constitution gives him the responsibility to protect the interests of the county government of Samburu. I will be interested to hear from the Senator of Samburu whether they have filed with the police or relevant authorities a missing person report on the governor, because it's like he cannot be found. The guy disappeared. The police can't trace him. But here, when you look at this thing properly, it's the usual games. The usual games are being played by both the governor and the IG. I see him giving us some authorities, UDA or as an Omar. I don't know who those are. There's a reason why he cannot appear. Chair, I think the Inspector General of Police knows far too well that him as a person, Kanja, is about to be leaving office. So he's just playing tactics so that then the burden, goes to someone else. Chair, can you make sure that before the Kanja exits office, he discharges that responsibility? It's not an option that he has. It's a responsibility he has been given by this committee. I thank you, Chair.
I quite agree with you that we should hold him for contempt of this committee. Otherwise, we will not be able to proceed. So it's a flimsy excuse that the IG is not able to locate, to find, to arrest the governor and bring him here. So I think he has not responded. It's pure contempt and should be taken as such and should be very firm on this chair that when you are ruling, let the IG be an example.
When the court directs the IG of police to produce someone, if they don't produce that person, the IG himself must be summoned and appear before the court to explain what the difficulty is. For instance, the IG of police is based here in Nairobi. The governor has just told us where he is. The IG of police knows where that place is, where this meeting is happening of UDA. So let him come to us next time, or even tomorrow, to appear before this committee. If IG Kanja does not know how the governor of Samburu looks like, we can forgive him. If he doesn't know where State House is, we can forgive him. But the suspect, the person, the subject of the summons, has disclosed his whereabouts. How can the IG argue that he doesn't know where he is? So I think for us now, we should deal with the question of the IG first. Because we in the Senate, I see members of the public coming very hard on us that, oh, we don't do oversight. Oversight happens in committees of parliament, like here. These are the only places we can have these conversations with governors. And we are unable to do this. I'm happy that the Senator for Vihiga is here, because I think he's the one who sponsored the amendments to the Powers and Privileges Act to require that Parliament probably needs our own police officers. So that the Sergeant at Arms here, we would have dispatched him to the gate of State House to wait for Governor for Samburu. Otherwise, the IG of police is not going to enforce any decisions of this committee. So I think the person to have the conversation with is not the Governor for Samburu now, at this particular stage. Let the IG appear before this committee and tell us how it is difficult to find somebody as prominent as a governor, yet his own police officers can go to Homa Bay, find a young man there, drive him all the way to Nairobi and kill him in the cells here. Over the past few days, when we were in Mombasa, Senator, you know they stopped the MP for Kitutu Church in South, Anthony Kibagendi, on the road here in Nairobi, on Waiyaki Way, blocked his vehicle, took him to a police station here in Nairobi, drove him all the way to Kisii and charged him in Narok. That is the police that we're being told cannot find a governor. We are being taken for granted, and the Kenyans must know the frustrations that Parliament is going through in terms of its oversight work. I can assure you this governor has no intention of appearing before this committee, and it will be excuse after excuse. After the UDA NGC, the next one is NDC. He will tell us he's also an engineer. Then they will tell us, oh, he's been put in the committee to negotiate with ODM over coalition agreement.
Let's get back to...
So I'm telling you that the excuses will not run out. The excuse today is that there is an NGC of a political party, and I'm telling you political parties are in that season where there are meetings after meetings after meetings. Next he will be hosting a delegates convention in his place. So let the IG come here. Let him be the one to take responsibility, because we don't have powers ourselves to arrest this governor and bring him here.
Senate passed the bill, and now the bill has been lying in the National Assembly. And this is a major challenge, because, you know, our National Assembly has become an appendage of the state. Anything that is supposed to make Parliament stronger and independent is being curtailed in the National Assembly. Because this is a law that should have been passed even without waiting even for one day. But we have been undermined because the law is not moving. So that was meant to deal with the situations like this, where we find ourselves helpless. We needed to have our own police who can go and arrest rogue governors like Governor of Samburu and others. But even having said that, Chair, I think it's the worst excuse for Inspector General of Police to say he cannot find a governor. A person of the level of governor is a person who can easily be found. If they can get time to go and attack people in churches, with the crude weapon, with the guns, then they can easily get someone of the level of a governor. So I think we should start by dealing with the Inspector General of Police. The excuse he has given is not admissible, is not acceptable, and I think I would recommend the chair that you deal with this governor. Secondly, the excuse that governors are giving of attending a meeting at State House cannot be tolerated. Mr. Chair, you know that we are here because of the constitutional deadline of 31st March. And the members have come from their recess to come and work. But governors cannot use flames excuses like going to a meeting in State House, really, at this time when we are 1.5 years to the election.
Mr. Chair, let me just inform you that this governor is not ready and does not respect Parliament. He's not ready to appear before this committee. And now he has the support of the IG not to attend. So we may face difficulties as a committee because the IG is not willing to arrest that governor to come and attend or to respond, knowing that we have pending issues of the last audit report we have never finalized, because this governor has been skipping meetings and he has not been attending meetings, giving reasons that we cannot agree as a committee.
He claimed that he could not track and he could not find the governor. And we were reasonable and told him, fine, spend a little bit more time, but make sure that the governor appears before this committee on the 26th of January. I think we've been very fair, we've been very procedural, and if the IG has not responded to that letter and has not responded by producing the governor, we must direct that the IG appears before this committee at the shortest time possible. And I think that would be within 7 days, to explain to this committee why he is not willing to implement the resolutions of Parliament. We must start with the IG, because he's the one who's now showing us contempt. And I think in the last Parliament we had a situation like this. We invited the IG, he didn't come. We summoned him, he didn't come. We eventually imposed a fine on the IG. And the Inspector General of Police has previously paid a fine to Parliament for non-compliance with directives of Parliament. We cannot encourage a situation where the police believe that they operate under a different constitutional order. We have seen cases of contempt of court orders. We will leave that to the judiciary to deal with. But we shall not tolerate contempt of
Togotigana noroboti oruo iguru ya Senate to so asensemo ya IBC ekyombe kyobochori ne chimbebe nigo emambye ya lero bakwanire oroboti iguru ye chinjirabe aliganirie gosio bwobochori obonene umwaka bwe 2025 na ibere anene emerobiria babekire ase okumulekera iguru ye chimbebe okwanekere ikyo nigo omonyakiro bwe kyombe kyo kya IBC Erastus Ethekon nigo abaga okwanira igoro yobochori oboke buna bwabete bogokoreka nemeroberio eyo babekire bosio buna ekyombe kyo kyobochori ne chimbebe IEBC.
The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission has resolved to undertake the review of constituency and ward boundaries through a phased approach. Following a comprehensive assessment of the constitutional requirements, judicial guidance, resource considerations, and the national electoral calendar. This decision therefore reflects the Commission's commitment to upholding constitutionalism while safeguarding the integrity and preparedness of the electoral processes. Boundary delimitation, ladies and gentlemen, is a cornerstone of Kenya's representative democracy. It operationalizes the constitutional principle of one person, one vote, one value, by ensuring that the electoral units that we have in this country respond to population dynamics and evolving geographical realities. The Constitution, therefore, obligates the Commission to periodically review electoral boundaries to promote equitable representation and to prevent voter dilution. It is in that regard that the Commission is mandated to undertake these periodic reviews and delimitation of electoral boundaries in order to align population and, of course, the principles of representation in a democracy such as ours. Following the conclusion of the first boundaries review in 2012, the Commission subsequently developed the Boundaries Review Operations Plan 2019 to 2014 that outlined the methodology, timelines, data requirements, and public participation framework to guide the second review cycle. Consequently, significant preparatory work has been undertaken since 2019 to date. And this includes, of course, developing the strategy for the boundary review. As you know, it's a very complex issue. Situational undertaking, comprehensive situational analysis, pilot studies, acquisition of GIS and geolocation systems, training, and capacity development of IBC in order to undertake this complex and comprehensive exercise. However, despite the steps taken by the previous commission towards undertaking comprehensive electoral boundary reviews, the process encountered serious constraints, which I believe you are aware of some of them. These constraints materially affected the pace and the timely completion of the boundary delimitation exercise. And as you are aware, we have already exceeded the constitutional timelines, which requires us to undertake the boundary delimitation between 8 to 12 years. So the last review was to be completed by March 2024, and those timelines have since passed. So we have outlined some of the constraints that have affected the boundary review process, and that's where we are. Absence of commissioners, as you are aware, after the previous commission left office in 2023 January, the IBC remained without commissioners from that moment up to 11th July 2025, when these new commissioners assumed office, which is barely 6 months ago. And therefore, in the absence of commissioners, the Secretariat alone had to pause some of those activities that required policy decisions and oversight by commissioners. For example, the boundary review operations plan that I've spoken about required the commission to relook and to review, and in the absence of the commissioners, that policy paper could not have been extended. And of course, there were other activities that required policy directives. So that was one of the main constraints to the timely review of the boundaries, electoral boundaries. Number two, we also had a hurdle in the form of judicial invalidation of the census data of 2019. So there are active cases that have affected the validity of the census data for 14 out of 17 constituencies in the 3 counties of Garissa, Wajir, and Mandera. On the 28th January 2025, the High Court in Garissa, in petition number 4 of 2020, in Sheikh and others versus Kenya National Bureau of Standards and IBC, invalidated the 2019 Kenya Population and Housing Census data for the 3 counties, finding that the census process failed to meet the requisite legal and procedural standards. The Court of Appeal subsequently directed that the matter be maintained in status quo pending the determination of the Civil Appeal number 236 of 2025. So the matter is in the Court of Appeal, and therefore this rendered the affected census data unusable for official purposes by government agencies such as IBC. So the 2019 data cannot be used by IBC insofar as that case, that directive of the court is concerned. The Commission needs that data. It needs a valid and legally binding Kenya Housing and Population Census report for it to use that report and that data in determining what is called the population quota. As you are aware, we have 290 constituencies. We have 1,450 wards. And for us to determine the population quota currently, we need that data for us to
Huya kegima bano mwancho muri ya Etaya TV ayo naro aya twabera to kwaliganiria ime yomurobiri okwana netaya ase entunda entangani kurende ndochiko batogoso ase entunda yetu ya kabere maega yege kikarugosyo ase togochiko bato gutwara enkwana yetu ya bene amono mogene yetu yoro mwana siasa kurwa sensemelia ye county ya Nyamira tochiko bato kwanira igoro ya governance and public voice tochiko bato kwana somonolia ubweke gusi nigo oyo minto mokogoti Joseph akomanyiguna asomonolweke gusitogote na obokoreri neriogi by'abananchi bocho tore tukora kwanirana andake ekero abananchi bakorwa ebirengero byabo nakyo wenda ko bakobirwa gucia sabara ibali bachorete nebo igona kire bako bakobirwa wetera public participation ngocha bire byaiwekana eriogi ryabo ekero bagwaka barabona abananchi nakya barayi bagocha bakora nakyo bwente koirera amaganya yaga abananchi tayanda mange tochiko bato kwanda twararora barayi abange bagocha si ground batema gusangamo n'abananchi bakwana magana mange abananchi bagwe birengeri byabo barwa maganya abo korende gucara bakawikirana ose abagako bwatigwa erinda abananchi banyorali abaganeti gokorerwa kurwa sabarai nayanda mange ayitochiko bato gusanga amono mogene itu asentunda yetu ya kabira saboniga twambuke asensemo yetu ya kabira studio asomo tumokoro mukekegimo
Etaya TV Oborabu Wagusi.
Here.
Shule ya Kialing College of Medical Science and Technology Training yani KAMEK inayopatikana Sameta Junction barabara kuu ya Kisii Kilgoris inatoa mafunzo ya certificate level 5 pamoja na diploma level 6. Wako na kozi kama vile perioperative theater technology, orthopedic trauma and medicine, community health care assistance yani HCA,